Chris is in Brixham. Chris, what's going on? Oh, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, I am indeed, James. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's quite appalling, actually. We woke up yesterday. Unfortunately, my wife is on the Facebook Brixham page and spotted some announcements, but nothing at all from South West Water other than to say it's safe to drink the water, which it now turns out, of course, is completely false.
I mean, I don't know exactly where the catchment area is for this warning in South Devon, but you're there and you don't know either by the sounds of it.
Well, we do now. We had an email yesterday from South West Water.
Let me get this straight. So it started off as a rumour on the Brixham Facebook page. The water company denied that there was anything to worry, insisted that there was nothing to worry about, and then latterly got in touch to say, don't drink the water. Do not drink the water.
Well, yes. I mean, fortunately, because we've registered and got an email address, that's all fine. My mum, who's 87, also lives in Brixham. Nothing. I mean, fortunately, I'm here, but
because she's not an online person.
She's not online.
No.
She wouldn't have got an email. She saw it on the news, but that was a week after cryptosporidium had started to break out in the area.
Do you know anyone that's been poorly?
I don't personally.
Well, get out, will you, man? Seriously, do some bloody journalism. Get out there, shout out the window or something. Find me someone.
Listen, we've got to drive 4 miles to go and get the water that they've supplied in the bottles.
Is that right?
They've not even supplied it in Brixham.
You've got to go to Paynton, I think.
Well, it's between here and Paynton, actually.
So, I mean, we're going to do that blitz spirit nonsense, aren't we? I don't mean the blitz spirit is nonsense. I mean, it's nonsense when we're applying it to having to boil your own tap water in 2024. But why do you think there isn't more of a groundswell of proper rage and unhappiness about this? Because, as I said earlier, apart from air, there is nothing more essential to our survival than water, and they're making huge amounts of money, and they are not they're not providing the most basic service. Turn your tap on, and you can't drink what comes out.
Personally, I think it's because there's no one held to account, no matter what you do.
So you don't know where the target is. You might have the sharpest darts in town, but you don't know where to lob them.
Well, and I think if you saw somebody being held to account and not millions or billions of pounds worth of profit being given to shareholders, as opposed to some significant fines, maybe somebody put in jail. Having run a multi-million-pound business myself, if I'd have done that, I would have been in jail.
Yes, I think that's actually a valid point. I mean, how the heck do you hold a Chinese sovereign wealth fund to account? You don't. So you find the people running the company and you smack them from here to kingdom come, metaphorically.
They're invisible people. And actually, from a personal point of view, this weekend is Dark Music Festival. My son's in a band. The whole band are staying with us.
Oh, Lord.
We'll have 10 people in the house.
Mate, how old is your son? How old is your son?
He's 30.
Oh, I thought at least they're not teenagers. I thought you were about to tell me that you had a house full of teenage boys and limited washing facilities. That could be.
Well, no, but I mean, they worried about taking showers, and actually, there's no warnings at all about pets.
Right.
And actually, your animals can if you. So you might be boiling the water for yourself, but if you don't boil the water and give. Yeah, you could be.
When does it end? Have they told you? When does it end?
No idea at all.
Well, no indication at all of when you might be able to drink out of your taps again?
Nothing at all.
It's just extraordinary. And you're right, actually. That's a very good point. I don't think you need to have run a multi-million-pound business to make that point, but it gives you an extra level of qualification if you have. In other areas, you would expect, to be held to account. If my listening figures were, I don't know, down 30%, for example, over the whole of last year, my listening hours, I would not expect to be here today. Happily, we're up 70,000 on the last quarter and are rightly replaced as the most popular talk show on UK commercial radio. But, I mean, how can you be running a water company and not be getting into any trouble at all at this time? That's actually extraordinary. And it makes the second line of the iNewspapers reporting today, the line about the Environment Agency being criticised for lack of enforcement, something that Fergal Sharkey has been shouting from the rooftops for the longest time. it makes it even more execrable, doesn't it? Thank you, Chris. Stay safe, mate. As I say, we're doing that British thing of seeing the funny side and reaching for the Blitz spirit, but I don't think it's actually appropriate, and it might be part of the problem. Louise is in Tunbridge Wells. Are you disgusted?
I am very, very disgusted.
I'm very glad to hear it. It's a geographical requirement, I believe.
It is indeed. I was calling because my family, my husband and I, have a small flat in Rustington, which is a little low-key place on the south coast between Worthing and Bognor.
Very nice.
And we bought it, and we use it as a holiday place for ourselves, and our family use it, and friends go to stay there. We don't rent out, you know.
How delightful!
It is. It's lovely. We don't fly. I mean, and we don't go on other expensive.
Well, there's no airport in Rustington. There's no
indulgence.
airport in Rustington, is there, Louise? You couldn't fly even if you wanted to.
Along the coast.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you know, we've had it for about 5 years, and you know, almost since we got it, you know, starting slowly but building up much more over the last couple of years. You know, you keep getting these notifications from Surfers Against Sewage and all the I mean, Worthing seems to be quite bad, and Bognor, there seem to be a lot of releases out in there. To the extent that now, you know, I mean, I let people go and stay there, but I say, you know, don't go in the water. And even because the tide comes in so far and then goes out again, I don't even really want to sit on the beach.
No.
Because you imagine what it's brought in with it. But the really annoying thing is that, in fact, we used to have a similar little flat in a seaside town in northern France.
Oh, yes.
Which we had for quite a few years. And we sold, actually, in August 2019, just because Brexit was coming up. I mean, obviously, I'm a Remain voter. But I just figured it was going to lead to problems getting across there so quickly and easily as we used to. So we just decided we'd sell it. But, you know, in all the time we had it, 14 years, we never once had cause to think, I daren't go in the water.
I mean, it's a beautiful comparison because it just makes your sort of eyes come out on stalks. You just sort of, what are we doing? How are we just sort of letting this wash over us or not?
Absolutely. I mean, it's you know, it's terrible. I mean, and I actually think, I mean, the amount of poo that's being pumped into the channel and the waters.
And Windermere, Windermere of all places.
Absolutely.
It is. Yeah. So what's your theory on why, I mean, I don't know that French would stand for it actually, but why do you think we are relatively supine in the face of this scandal?
Well, you're right. The French would be out in the streets and protesting. I don't know. The British people don't seem to. But also, I mean, everybody I know is very cross about the poo, but everybody I know thinks helpless. You know,
I hope someone switched on just at that moment. Just heard the radio came. Everybody I know is very cross about the poo and thought, what the hell is happening on this radio station?
It is absolutely awful. But I think there's a sense of helplessness because we do not know
who to get angry with.
And
well, there is, I mean, this is, Fergal Sharkey makes this point. There is I mean, how many people could name the chief executive of the water regulator Ofwat? I am going to cautiously suggest nobody listening to this programme at this point in time, except possibly his wife, who may have turned off in horror. I don't think anybody listening to this programme out there. Louise, can you name him?
I cannot.
No. Carolyn in Eastbourne, can you name him?
No, sadly not, but I'd love to know his phone number.
Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
There we go.
Now,
and what an awful stink, more like.
I mean, for me, I'm going to talk about drinking water. I love beaches, I love swimming, but it's the drinking water that really does concern me. Where did it all begin? Victorian ages, I say, but you know.
Well, no, you can't have that because there was it wasn't. I mean, that sewage, that's Bazalgette, isn't it? That was a good thing.
I know.
That was,
listen, we did a fantastic job, Dan. Now, so the ancient mariner, you know, water everywhere. He was a prophet. The problem is now.
Well, he wasn't a prophet. He was a sailor. He was in the middle of the sea and he was surrounded by salt water. So he wasn't actually making a prediction about the state of our drinking water 100 years after Coleridge wrote the actual, more than 100 years after Coleridge. But anyway, listen, talk to me about what a mess we're in and why we are not angry.
Self-regulated industry. So let's take the subject of trihalomethane, something nobody's ever heard of before. It's a carcinogenic that is created when you boil a chlorinated water that has an organic in it. So when you boil, so the industry,
you might be losing the room here, mate. But I'm going to let you run with it for a bit.
Thank you very much indeed. So self-regulated industry, people. So let's just say that they set the industry standard levels at 100, and they say it's okay. You've only got 50. 50's bad, and then what they'll do when they can't get nearer to 100, they'll say actually the legal limit's now 150. The state of the drinking water in this country is quite shocking. We have some of the best drinking water in this country at face value,
right.
But I have, because of the business I'm in, I have seen wells that have been drinkable 10 years ago that are now completely dead due to agricultural runoff.
Yes.
And I'm also seeing the fact that with the wastewater, which we're talking about here,
yes.
Is it a population issue? Don't know. Too many houses, too many people. The cryptosporidium breakouts down in Devon that happened yesterday. Now,
what's that about? What's that about? Do you think?
Well, that's back to, and I'll tell you exactly what that's about. Thank you for asking, James.
You're very welcome. That's what you're here for.
Thanks. So E. coli takes about a 2-second contact with chlorine for it to be deactivated.
Okay.
Cryptosporidium is 15 days.
Right.
15 days. So what will they do? They will just keep adding more and more chlorine to the water, and of course that will.
And where will the cryptosporidium have come from originally, do you think?
It would have come from volatile organic compounds that are in the water.
So that could be sewage dumping, could it?
It could be. It could be sewage dumping. It will be because through no fault of so things like steroids and PFAS chemicals, which are now prevalent in our drinking water. There's steroids and PFAS is now in every.
But that's not
system.
enough to have caused this, though, is it?
Yes.
In and of it. So it's untreated.
Yes.
Sewage getting into the water system.
It's not treated effectively.
Well, if I put you in charge today, Rishi said, I'll read you a line from the newspaper.
Yeah, go on.
It is only news of major spills in the Lake District and contamination in Devon is only likely to pile more pressure on Rishi Sunak to take stronger action on the water industry, writes
brilliant.
Richard Vaughan in The Eye. It's a very good coverage today in that newspaper. So you're Rishi Sunak, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you wear your trousers so short?
Because I am short and it takes the mind off of what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, you're laughing at my trousers. They're not listening to me.
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought of it that way around. So you are Rishi Sunak. What are you going to do today to address, to do this thing, to pile more pressure, to take stronger action on the water industry? What are you going to do?
I'm going to take the water industry back.
Just renationalise it and start from there.
I'm going to renationalise it. I'm going to give every household in the country a budget of £400 to have a water filter.
Just to be clear, you are in the water filtration business. I'm
not about to mention brands and businesses.
No.
All I'm going to say is it concerns me that.
So we get everyone gets a filter, and all the money that is made goes back into the industry with no shareholder.
That.
I mean, it is a bit obvious, isn't it, when you put it like that? But in terms of the situation as it currently stands,
every man for himself.
Well, but what would you do? Would you jail the CEOs of Waterco? Would you criminalise failure to clean up the sewage spills? I mean, what could...
criminalise sewage spills. Yeah, the problem is that when you've got profits involved, sadly the very nature of humanity is cutting costs to make an income. We get that. They're not evil people. They're not wrong people. They're just a little bit misled with the wrong motivations.
Right. Okay. You're generous, possibly more generous than me. I'd like to see some metaphorical heads roll on this one because of the relationship between the profits being made and the poo being pumped. It's a rather agreeable alliteration. Mark, stay safe. Thank you for that.